In Chapter 8, Part 2, we are looking at taking generic rectangles and finding what goes on the outside. So this is called factoring. So we're breaking it down. So we are going to take a look at basically what the greatest common factors are. So we want to find out what's going to go here and what's going to go here so that we can multiply them to get inside that rectangle. So I'm going to take a look at this column here, and I want to try to find out what is the greatest common factor between 2x and 6x squared. Well, that's going to be a 2x. From here, I'm going to work backwards, and I want to find out what am I going to multiply here with 2x to get 6x squared. Well, if I work backwards, that's going to give me a 3x. And then I'm going to proceed and do the same thing over here. What times 3x is going to give me 15x. And that's going to be just a positive 5. And then the last one that I'm going to look at, get rid of that. Okay, what am I going to multiply here with 2x to get 2x? Well, that's just going to be a 1. So we're left with a plus 1. So when we go to write this, we're going to write it as a product first. So that means we're multiplying. So that's going to be 2x plus 5 times 3x plus 1. And you could have those parentheses flip-flopped. You could have the 3x plus 1 first. It doesn't matter. And I'm going to write it as a sum, which means I'm going to take whatever's inside and combine like terms. So that's 6x squared plus 17x, because I'm going to add the 15 and the 2x together, plus 5. So we have the product and we have the sum. So I'm going to take a look at another example. This is still number 10. This is going to be 10b. And we're given a rectangle with a negative 2y, negative 6, 5xy, and 15x. So again, we're looking to see what goes on the bottom and the side of the rectangle. So I'm going to work backwards and see what can I multiply to get each side. So I'm going to take a look here at 5xy and 15x. I want to find the greatest common factor between those terms. So you could work out a factor tree if you wanted, and I'll show that work here. So if we do a factor tree for 5, that's just 5 and 1, so it's 5 times x times y. 15, we can break down to 5 times 3, so that's 5 times 3 times x. They have a 5 in common, and they also have an x in common. So the greatest common factor is going to be 5x. So that's going to go out on the side. From here, I'm looking to see what can I multiply with 5x to get 5xy. Well, since I already have 5x on the side, it's just going to be a y. And then I can look here, what times 5x gives me 15x? Well, that's going to be a 3, positive 3. And then the last part, what here multiplied by y, is going to give me negative 2y, which is going to be a negative 2. Oops. So when we go to write this as a product, we're going to take whatever's on the side and the bottom. So we have 5x minus 2 times y plus 3. And that's going to be equal to the sum. And we have different terms. We don't have any like terms, so they're all going to be all written out. And I'm running out of space here, sorry. So the sum, 5xy minus 2y plus 15x minus 6, is equal to our product, 5x minus 2 times y plus 3. Okay, so now we're going to be given the expression, and we're going to factor it out ourselves. So we have 2x squared plus 7x plus 6. And to get started, I'm going to do a rectangle, and I call it a diamond, but it looks like a big X. And we talked in class that the first term here is always going to go in the bottom left. The last term is always going to go in the top right, And then that middle term is always going to go on the bottom of our diamond. This is how we're going to set up every single problem. So to get the top of the diamond, we're going to multiply the 2x squared and the 6 together to get 12x squared. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of some of these lines here, so we don't have a bajillion things going on. So what we're going to do from here is we're going to do the diamond problem. We want to see what two numbers multiply to give us 12x squared, but then add to give us 7x. So we can think of our multiplication skills and see what works out, which is going to be a 4x and a 3x. And it doesn't matter which spot you put each one. And it doesn't really matter where you put them in the empty rectangle. From here, we want to find out what goes on the bottom and what goes on the side, which we just talked about. So we can work backwards, use our greatest common factor. I'm going to look at my 4x and my 2x squared. My greatest common factor is 2x. And then I can work backwards and say that this side has to be an x for that to work out, and that this bottom has to be a 3, and then up here we'll have a plus 2. So our product, 2x plus 3 times x plus 2, is equal to our sum, 2x squared plus 7x plus 6. So we have the product and we have the sum. Okay, we're going to take a look at 14b. Same type of problem. We have 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. And I'm going to start by doing my generic rectangle and my diamond problem. That first term always goes in the bottom left. The last term goes in the top right. We multiply them to get the top of the diamond. And then that middle term always comes down, down here. So again, this first term gets put in the bottom left. The last term goes in the top right. We multiply them to get the top of the diamond. And that middle term, I think I already said that, goes in the bottom. Okay, so from here, we want to do our diamond problem and see what two numbers multiply to give us 6x squared, but then add to give us 5x. So you can think of all the combinations that multiply to give you 6, and then narrow them down to see which ones add to give you 5. So it's going to be a 2x and a 3x. And again, it doesn't matter where you put them in the open spots. And then we're going to work backwards and find out what is our greatest common factor, and then find the missing pieces of our rectangle. So our product is x plus 1 times 2x plus 3, which is equal to the sum, 2x squared plus 5x plus 3.